What is up, everybody? Welcome, and thank you for joining me on this first episode. And thank you, more importantly, for taking the time out of your day to come and listen. I hope everybody is doing well, and I am super excited to start this podcast. I'm super excited to have these conversations, and I'm more excited to start really diving in and understanding and peeling back the layers of mindset, mental health and wellness, and overall just being a better person. This podcast is something that I have been putting off for a while, not because of space or because of equipment, but simply because it is outside of my comfort zone. Going outside of your comfort zone and growing and being a better person, to me, is what it's all about. Each and every day, we take small little pieces to get better and better and better and better. And by doing that over time, we create something of a legacy for ourselves, not for anybody else, but simply for ourselves. My goal is to grow every single day, and I hope by me sharing some of the things that I have gone through in my life, I hope by me sharing some of the experiences, the problems, and the trials and the hardships I have gone through and my mindset could hopefully inspire you to either be a better person or you can take those and inspire somebody else. A lot of these conversations that I feel like we're going to talk about are tough. There's some of them are not easy. Some of them are emotional. Some of them really really hit you in the feels. But without speaking about those things and some of the negative aspects of life, I feel like it's very difficult to grow. Us as humans, we like that positive. We like that warm and fuzzy feeling inside. We don't like when someone tells us the hard shit that we don't want to hear. But without hearing that, it's very difficult to grow. So, with that being said, my name is Thomas Reed, and thanks for joining me on the first episode of the Cold Hearted Truth podcast. These podcasts are going to be dropping every Friday, and they're going to be dropped on 3 major platforms, so you have the option to listen. Eventually, I would like to do some video in the future, but for now, just going to be audio, and it's going to be on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. These podcasts, I want to share my mindset. I want to share the mental health aspect of your mindset and how to be, for me, I grew as a person to become better. And I hope by me sharing these things, you can get a glimpse into my life and understand some of the things that I have done. And hopefully, you could take that and reflect that onto your own life to be a better person. I want to tailor this podcast to your mindset. Now, not only mindset for mental health and growing as a better person, but also exploring the challenges that we all face each and every day and sharing some of the challenges that I have gone through in my life. I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis when I was 2 years old. I was only born 2 pounds 14 ounces. I also lost my parents at a very young age. And I had a lot of career paths that I wanted to go down, but I couldn't because of the challenges that cystic fibrosis placed in front of me. Now, with that being said, I also accomplished a lot in my life. And for me, I used my mindset to make myself not a victim, not someone who feels bad for themselves or feels sorry for themselves, but allowing that to adapt and change myself in order to be a better person each and every day. And I hope by me sharing the challenges that I have faced and the things that I have done, it can allow you to hopefully strive to be a better person and it can inspire you to be a better person. Now, I can't fix your problems. I can't change you. The only person that can change you is you. You're the only person that can set forth a goal and set yourself onto a path of success. I can give you my opinions, I can give you my advice, and I could share some of the challenges and things that I have gone through, but you have to change. You have to be the person who wants to go out and create that change. Having the ability to do that takes time. It takes a lot of patience, and honestly, it takes your ability to be disciplined to do it. I also want to say that I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy that seems like I'm following everybody else in doing a podcast or getting on social media and doing things because I have never been like that and I don't want to start now and I never will be. But I feel that I can share some of the stuff that I have done And I really hope that I can help somebody else grow and be better. In order to do that, you have to be honest with yourself, right? Lying to yourself and looking yourself in the mirror and saying that everything is great when maybe it's not is not going to be beneficial to you. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you grow. It's just going to stifle you because you're going to fill yourself with just shit that's not true, right? And it's not going to help you grow. We all have lied to ourselves. And if you haven't, good for you, man. But I know I have. I've sometimes made myself out to something that I think maybe I wasn't. And maybe it took a friend. Maybe it took myself in the mirror. Maybe it took a family member to kind of tell you that cold hearted truth that you didn't want to hear. But without hearing that cold hearted truth, you might not be the person who you are today. And I certainly know for sure as shit that I am the person I am today because of those conversations and because of those things that I had to deal with. Mental health is a major issue, right? And I feel, especially now, it doesn't get the attention it deserves. It doesn't get the attention it deserves because a lot of times there are stigmas placed on mental health, and if you do or say the wrong thing, you're marked and it becomes a major issue in your life. And for one, that's no way to fix it. That's for sure as shit. And number two, without fixing it, it only gets worse. So if it only gets worse and it only gets more compounded and more of a problem without attacking it and understanding it, then why are we shying away from it? And now listen, I'm not just talking about therapy. I'm not talking about just overall your mental specific health. I'm talking about how to grow and change your mindset into become someone that you love within yourself, someone that is strong, an individual person that is motivated and disciplined to do things that they don't want to do every single day, right? For me, I have a very strong feeling that a lot of people in this world have become super soft and that they haven't calloused their mind. They are soft because whether it's social media, whether it's society, whether it's maybe just, I don't know, maybe a decrease in overall male testosterone over the past 40 years. But either way, I have a very strong feeling that a lot of people out there are soft. They don't want to do the hardships. They don't want to be a fucking savage. Because when you can put your mind to something and you can accomplish it over and over and over and over again, that is who you become. You become that person. You become that person that is strong willed, that can go out each and every day and find something that you want to do, and you can go tackle it and kick it in the teeth. And in order to kick it in the teeth, you have to start by having a conversation. Personally, I believe that conversation allows you to get an introspective look at yourself, to understand the situation completely and understand it fully. Now, that conversation could be with a friend, it could be with family, it could be with your damn dog, right? And or it could just be with yourself in the mirror. By starting that conversation and continuing that, it only allows you to grow. Now, having skills is not the same as mindset, I think, right? For instance, we do some things each and every day to grow tangibly and with skills, drinking more water, going to the gym, eating right, versus mindset, where you have to get out of bed and strive on to be a better person. You have to make the conscious effort to be a better person. Because which one starts first? It's like the chicken or the egg, right? Which came first? Personally, I think it's mindset. I think your mindset has to be right or on the right path in order for you to choose the right skills to make yourself better. An example of this is that if you put a plate of McDonald's in front of somebody or you put a plate of chicken and broccoli in front of somebody, steamed chicken and broccoli, which are they going to pick? Your mindset, if it I think is right and you want to stay healthy and you want to go down a path that you want to choose, whether healthy or unhealthy, you are going to pick that, right? You have to mentally think to yourself, I want to get better. I want to be more healthy. So I'm going to choose the healthier option of those, right? I feel like a lot of times we focus on just the tangible things because they're easier. The tangible things of drinking water and doing those things are easier, but the harder part is taking your mindset and adapting it to the way you want to be, to the way that you want to change in your life. And by having to do that, we have to create mental fortitude on ourselves. We have to have the ability to strive on. We have to create that strength and that callous in our mind in order to get better. And a lot of times that's hard, man. It's not easy and it takes time. It's not something that just pops up instantaneously and something that we can do within 3 days. Because a lot of times, the first 3 days, 3 weeks, maybe even the 3 months is easy. But it's the time when nobody else is looking. It's the time when it's you against you, not you against somebody else, not you and a crowd of people doing it for someone else. It's when it's you against you. You have to have the integrity for yourself to stick to the diet, stick to the plan, stick to whatever journey that you set yourself on. And by doing that, you have to have mental fortitude. That mental fortitude allows you to have the motivation and the discipline. Actually, I take that back. Not even the motivation, the discipline. Because motivation comes and goes. Discipline is what keeps you on the right path. So let me ask you this. What makes you you? What makes you you? What characteristics do you have that sets you apart from somebody else? And now, maybe you don't have any, and maybe that's why you're here, because you want to learn and you want to try to adapt and change yourself. Maybe you already have some of these characteristics and you have these things and you have a strong mental mindset, but you're just trying to grow. But what it makes you you? Sometimes you need that person to tell you the cold-hearted truth. And that cold-hearted truth might suck to hear. Because I know when I have had someone tell me some things, it is hard to hear. But that is where you shouldn't shut down. That is where you shouldn't block that out and you shouldn't shun it out. Because now, maybe given that person is an influential person in your life, because sometimes people could just be that way and they are just a Karen. But maybe that person truly means well for you. Maybe that person is one of your best friends. And by you lying to them and you telling them that everything is okay when it's not, you're not helping them. You're making them worse. People don't like sometimes to hear that truth because that feeling of insecurity. We want to be liked by everybody. We want that constant positive feedback, that dopamine hit that we get all the time from going on Instagram, going on our cell phones and doing all of these things. Instead of someone telling someone that they are screwing up and they're being an asshole, but sometimes we have to hear that. And that is the conversation that you might have to have with yourself and you might have to have with somebody else. So what do you want to do to change that? What do you want to do in your life? And what do you hopefully want to get out of this podcast to grow? For me, it's to be a better person. It's to create a legacy in my own mind for myself, not for anybody else, but for myself, to grow and to be a better person and to be that person that people can rely on. In our life, we go through these struggles and these things that may change us for the worse, because I know I have gone through all of them. And to have a self-reflection, or maybe someone tells us and then we self-reflect on it, it is tough. It is not easy. It is really difficult, but that's how you grow, man. That's how you grow as a person, right? I personally feel in society today, there is a bunch of weak-ass people, and they're soft. Our society, for some reason, has turned into this collective group of just soft individuals. And when we create a society of soft people, it creates a network of things that don't allow us to grow because we only like hearing the positive. You need the negative to grow. You do. And in society, with all of these positive things all of the time and everything is great, it's not allowing us to grow and realize the faults and the things that we are doing wrong. So callous your mind. Callous your mind into something strong. but at the same time, be humble and kind. Be humble and kind because nobody likes somebody who's egotistical. Not only do we have to have the right mindset for the here and now and for the situations that we face each and every day, but we have to prepare our mind. We have to prepare it for the future. Preparing your mind is something that I feel a lot of people don't do, and they just act in the here and now. By fixing some of these problems, it allows you to build a mental Rolodex of problem solving techniques and problem solving abilities for you to grow. It also could allow you to become less stressed in the future. Because if you prepare your mind for stressful situations and you think them through, it allows you to prepare yourself when you get into those situations. For example, as a pilot, we do something called chair flying. You sit in a chair, you close your eyes, and you visualize stressful situations, engine out failures, fire in the cockpit, emergency situations. And you run through these checklists and you run through the procedures with your eyes closed in a chair in your living room. Because when you get into those situations, things happen rapidly. And sometimes you might not be able to run through a checklist. You might have to do them off the top of your head. But by preparing your mind prior to going into that, it allows you to have that mental Rolodex to fix those situations. And by preparing your mind, you have to think of some of the things that you might have to do emotionally. Now, that could be maybe against someone else by defending yourself. It could be by losing a family member and how you're going to deal with that when that time comes. By losing a pet or losing something that is very close to you. Spiritually, sometimes you have to figure out what brings you inner peace. Because when those stressful situations arise and you can bring inner peace to yourself by spiritually calming yourself down and bringing joy to your life on a difficult task or problem that you just faced, it allows you to relax and lower your stress level. How far are you willing to prepare your mind? Because there's many, many, many paths you can take, right? You can take the 0% path, and that 0% path is now change it all. If you don't make any change to yourself to try to become a better person, you become stagnant and you regress. You can take the 100% road. That 100% is full on, full throttle, 180-degree turn from what you're doing now. But that also can be a dangerous road. Because without the progression and without small learning steps that you might have to take in between, that can also make you become egotistical. But if you start on a slow progression and changing yourself a little by little each and every day, that truly allows you to get the full perspective, that 30,000-foot view, to see what is truly going on in your life to help you fix yourself. But how does your mindset play a role in each and every part of your life? Well, for one, when you wake up in the morning, you have to be able to prepare yourself for the day, right? For whatever tasks you're about to face for the day. Now, some of those tasks you might not face until that time comes, and you might never know what those tasks are until that actual time. But by preparing your mind early in the morning, when you first get up, and say, I'm ready to tackle the day, you put yourself into a mindset where you're going to grow, where you're open and you're willing to do things that you might not normally do. But on top of that, those monotonous tasks that we have to face every day, they can make us become complacent. So, in preparing our mind, I also want to talk about some other things too, like hunting, mindset in the medical field, stressful situational mindset, flying mindset, and having good situational awareness. All of these things come with preparedness and your mind. But when you do these things, don't quit on yourself. Don't quit. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually, and in your mind. Because sometimes that quit is infectious. That quit is super infectious. Because not only for yourself, but for others. If you quit on yourself once, you're more likely to quit on yourself again. Because you put yourself into a position where you're like, well, if I quit once, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, another task comes up that it's hard. It's like, well, I quit last time, and it really didn't affect me that much. And then another task comes up, and you're like, well, I don't really, it's all right. I guess I kind of quit. I guess I don't want to do it anymore. Get out of that mindset. Because it is infectious. Because once you get it once, it is so easy to go down that path again. But if you don't quit, and you strive forward and you push on and you make that accomplishment and you do that thing, whatever you set your mind to, that becomes infectious. Because now you know that if you put in that effort, you put in that hard work, that dedication, that honest, loyal, and truly dedicated work to whatever you're doing, you can put it into whatever you're doing for the future. And once you start accomplishing tasks and once you start accomplishing some of the goals that you want to do, man, that gives you such a good feeling because you worked for it. Nobody else. Like I said before, the only person who can make that change in your mind is you. You are the only one who can go kick that thing in the teeth and bring it down and make it so that you accomplish those tasks. So, what else are you trying to get out of this? What else are you trying to get out of your mindset? Are you just looking for something to get you through your day to day? Or are you trying to grow as an individual? And by growing as an individual, you can't quit on yourself. So, in future episodes, I want to talk about how I molded my mindset into being the baddest and the hardest person that I feel I can be in order to grow as an individual, building that mental Rolodex and tackling life's tasks and life's problems each and every day. Finding your cold-hearted truths and beliefs. The only way you can find, I personally feel, your cold-hearted truth and belief is by you looking introspectively to yourself. By you looking upon yourself and understanding, now given that might be from some encouragement from somebody else, telling you that you might need to change or that some of the things that you're doing are not conducive for what you or what they've seen you be as a person. But you still have to take that cold-hearted truth look at yourself and be able to have that conversation with yourself of, hey, I need to change. I need to change because maybe I'm not being the person who I once was. Maybe I need to change because I am not being the person that I know I can be. But nobody else can do that for you. You have to do that for yourself. Don't rely on others to find those for you. But you have to take that internal look at yourself and be like, hey, I need to change. Please use this and some of the things that I say as a guide because everybody is different, right? Everybody is different. And by you using one specific thing from one person doesn't allow you to create your own legacy in your own mind, right? Take multiple people, take a ton of people and put it all into one. Put it all into a collective pool in your own brain to make you the specific person that you want to be. And remember, these things are not going to come overnight. It's not going to come within a week of you changing things. In fact, I'd even challenge you to do it for a year and a half, right? If you go to the gym for 3 days, are you going to see a lot of progression? No, and the answer is no, so don't say yes. You're going to see small progression. You might be sore, but I doubt it, right? You might see a pound lost here or there. You might see a slight amount of muscle growth, and I doubt it if you do, but I'm giving you a benefit of the doubt. But if you go to the gym for 6 months, a year, consistently, 2-3 times a week, eat right, eat protein, do what you need to do to change, you're going to see progression, right? You're going to see a big change in yourself and your overall physical performance, your endurance, your ability to probably not feel fatigued. I almost venture to say that you probably feel better about yourself because your body's releasing endorphins and dopamine and all of these other chemical mediators to make you feel better. That's the same thing for your mind. If you change your mind for 3 days, that's just a smokescreen, man. You're not changing your mind. You change it for 3 days, but stay consistent with it. Stay consistent with it for months, years, and each and every day, a little by little. I'm not saying go from one end of the spectrum to the other end instantaneously because that's also not healthy either, right? You know what? I take that back. Maybe you might even need that. Maybe you might have to go from one end of the spectrum to the other. but stay consistent with it. It is not going to come overnight. It is not going to be an instantaneous change that you're going to see. Maybe you will because you're in your own mind, but it's probably going to take a little while for other people to notice. But you have to have that cold hearted conversation with yourself to change your mindset to become a better person. Another example of this is a fighter, like someone in kickboxing. They're not at the top of their game within a week. It can take you 3 months to train for a fight, right? And that's probably on the minimum. That's not just physically, that's not just emotionally, that's not just spiritually, that is just everything, right? When you go into a ring, your preparedness started 5 months ago. And I'm not talking about the preparedness when they told you you're getting ready to, when you're going to go to fight. I'm talking about the preparedness where you have to lay in bed at night at 3 in the morning, and maybe you're staring at the ceiling, and you're contemplating if you want to do that or not. And if you do, how are you going to be able to deal with your mindset? How are you going to be able to get into that ring with another person and fight them? You have to prepare your mind. You have to prepare yourself mentally. You have to prepare yourself physically and emotionally and spiritually. Same thing goes for your everyday life. You have to prepare yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually to get better and better and better each and every day. So, with all of that, this podcast is not just going to be about one specific thing. It's not going to be about one specific topic on mental mindset. It's not going to be one specific topic on mental health and wellness or just being a better person. But it is going to encompass every aspect of your mind. In order to change your life, in order to change the things that you want to be in your life, you have to adapt your mind. And with all of that, you become a better person. On that journey to be a better person, sometimes you have to hear the cold hearted truth, but more importantly, you have to find it for yourself. For instance, if I'm looking to change, right, and I want to find a podcast, a YouTube show, whatever, right, don't expect them to change the shit for you. Use those things to adapt to your life. Make it for you. Don't rely on them solely for the one specific thing, right? Because everybody has a different mindset. But by you taking maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of other people's ideas and beliefs and truths and things that they have done to get better and to become more of a better person, that is how you change, right? You can use it as a guide, but create it as your own mindset. Because you're your own individual person, man. I am my own person. You are your own person. And by you relying on one specific thing, I think you limit yourself. And that is completely counterproductive to what I hope to share. I've gone through a lot of shit. I've gone through a lot of things in my life. And I have looked at many, many, many different places for help, for guidance. But I've used each and every one of those to create and take 1/16 or 1/32 of those to change and make myself into a whole. So don't rely on others to find those truths for you. Go and find them yourself. It's not going to come overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to take weeks, months, years. It's not instantaneous, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. For example, when politicians create laws overnight because of a event that happened, they normally don't work out. They're not good. They're not productive. They're created with emotion. They're created with hastily stupidity in plain English. And I feel for someone to change your mindset overnight, instantaneously, go from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, it's not good. You're doing it with emotion. You're doing it with not ill intent, but you're doing it with not the right intent of a progression and a journey and something that takes progression. For example, the gym. If you go to the gym for 2 or 3 days, you're not going to see much progression. You might be sore as shit, but you're not going to see much progression. But if you go to the gym for 6 months, consistently, each and every day, and you take the time to dedicate to that specific task, and over time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, that is how you grow and that is how you become a better person. So that brought us to about the half an hour mark. Thank you, everybody, for listening and joining me on this first episode. If you could be ever so kind to like, subscribe, or leave a review. But more importantly, I would love to hear some of your feedback, some of the challenges and things that you have gone through, and how you used your mindset to become a better person, or how you're working on to become a better person. You can reach me via email at coldheartedtruthpodcast@gmail.com, or you could find me on Instagram at treed_323. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Cold Hearted Truth Podcast.